Hello, guys. Welcome to my podcast, the first episode of the Magic Zone video podcast. In this podcast, will be going over, in all this podcast, I will be going over how to play Magic the Gathering and Commander. Commander, EDH. EDH, Commander. They're the same thing. And I have the rules that I made by me here, and I also have the rules how to play just Magic the Gathering in general by Wizards of the Coast here, and as well as Commander over here. So yeah, I have all of them right here so that I can talk to you guys and learn, and you guys can learn how to play. And I'm just going to jump right into it because I know many of you just want to know how to play. By the way, at the end of this podcast, if you are thinking, man, I like the sound of Magic the Gathering Commander, and I want to know what he does, I would consider subscribing, and that's just me. And turning on notifications too, that's a good idea too. And maybe leave a like. And yeah. Alright, these are the rules that I made. The rules of MTG, Magic the Gathering, and Commander, EDH, by Zach. Magic the Gathering is a fun 1v1 card game. That's the standard version, just 1v1. Made by Wizards of the Coast. If you have ever looked at a game of Magic the Gathering and thought to yourself, man, that looks complicated, and then you thought to yourself, maybe I want to figure out what it is because it looks kind of fun and figure out how to play. And then you stumbled upon this podcast, and here you are. Well, you came to the right podcast because in this episode, I will be discussing the rules of Magic the Gathering and Commander, a format inside of Magic the Gathering. I will first start with the basic rules of Magic the Gathering. There are 5 main turns that you will take in one turn rotation. The first one is the begin phase. There are 2 parts to this turn. The first one is the begin. The first one is you untap, which means you turn your cards upright if they are turned sideways. You will not do this on your first turn because you have no cards on the battlefield, which is the space in front of you, where you put your creatures, lands, instants, sorceries, etc. The second part to this phase is draw. You will do this whether you like it or not, because you have to do this in order to play a game. However, if you will not do this if a card says you can't draw or a card says you draw 2. If a card says you draw 2 cards at the beginning of phase, then you do this. If you are the first one going, and that is the beginning of the if it is the beginning of the game and you are the first one to go, you will not draw a card because you have an advantage of going first. The next phase is called the main phase. You will play a land, only 1 per turn, unless the card says otherwise. There are 5 types of lands you can play. The first one is an island, which are blue. Second is mountains, which are red. Then we have plains, which are white, forest, which are green, and finally we have swamps, which are black. Your next step is to cast all your spells, which are creatures, the guys who can attack for you. And attacking is the typical way that you win a game of MTG, Magic the Gathering, unless you want to draw or something like that, or you're tired and you want to stop. The next phase is combat. You will declare attackers. If any, you can skip this step. If you do not want to attack, your opponent declares. If you want to attack, your opponent declares blockers, and then you as the attacker declare which order your attack or attackers attack the block rows. If there are multiple blockers, and then damage is dealt, and any damage that is left over or any unblocked creatures hit your opponent straight in the face. In the phase, the next phase is the main phase. Again, you may play lands if you do not play any already, and then you can cast spells or other creatures and other spells if you feel the need to want to. The final phase is the end phase. This is the phase where you really do not do anything. Your creatures heal and you pass the turn. Alright, that was really confusing. I don't know why. Oh my gosh, hold on. This flew back to me. There we go. Alright. I don't know why that flew back to me. That was really, really annoying. Alright. Those rules were seriously confusing. Because, well, when I wrote them, I was speaking into a microphone, and they don't make any sense at all. So I'm going to break them down slowly for you and talk to you how you cast cards and spells and all that right here in this video. I was correct on the first part. You begin when you untap your cards and turn them upright. Unless they say not to. Okay? Like a card may say, this card does not untap during your upkeep or something like that. Which is another word for saying your begin phase. After you untap, you will draw a card. Only one per turn unless a card says you draw none or two. And then your main phase is you play a land, only one per turn, unless a card says otherwise. And then you cast creatures and other spells. Combat is when you declare attackers, your opponent declares blockers, and then combat damage is dealt. And then main phase again, play a land if you haven't already, cast creatures and other spells, and creatures heal pass the turn. Alright, overall, I didn't do a bad job, but at the same time, I pretty much did. So yeah, I'm going to just show you how to cast a spell, and we are going to start with the simplest card ever, which is a card that is a creature. The card that I will show you how to cast is Creeping Trailblazer. I'm going to give him a look at you now, and I will show him against you every time I talk about him. I'm sorry that the heater is going. The heater just goes because I am underneath ground level, and it gets cold down here. So yeah, let me show you. This is what he looks like. He looks pretty cool, doesn't he? Alright. Now, with that card in mind, his name at the top, Creeping Trailblazer. And then next to his name is a little red thing and a green thing, which kind of looks like a broccoli. That is the mana cost. For this card, you only have to pay a red and a green, or a mountain and a forest. Doing that, you have to tap the land. So I would have to have a red mountain and a green forest to play this card. And in doing so, you would tap the cards, and then you would play Creeping Trailblazer. Alright? And if you want to attack or block with him, this is how you're going to do this. So, Creeping Trailblazer is a 2/2. As you can see in this bottom, in between my fingers. Assuming I'm not covering up. Alright, yep, I'm not. Alright, so he's at 2/2. The one that is closer to this finger is his power. The one that's closer to this finger is his toughness. Okay? The 2 on his left, which is his power, is the amount of damage he will deal. So if I attacked with this guy and hit him, let's say, for you, whoever is watching, let's say your name is Tyler or something, and I will attack you with a 2/2, and he will hit you, be dealt 2 damage. However, if you're attacking me and I want to block, then there will be, I don't know, whoever it is, that if the guy on the opposite, whoever is attacking, does not equal or exceed 2, then my guy lives. Alright, I'm going to do an example because that was probably really, really confusing. So let's say, where's my other guy? I had another guy here. No, I don't. Okay. Actually, yeah, I do. And that guy doesn't work. Ooh, this guy. Found him. Alright. So, I'm going to give you a look at Whisper Agent. Ignore all his text, except for the text at his bottom, which is his mana cost. Alright, have you taken a look at that? Great. Quiz time. Which one? Which number? Which... the left number, the 3, is that his power or toughness? If you said power, you were correct. You said toughness, you were wrong. The toughness is the 2. If, let's say, Whisper Agent was attacking, and he attacked you, the player, then he would swing at you for 3 damage. And then if Creeping Trailblazer blocked him, they would both die, because Creeping Trailblazer's toughness is 2, and Whisper Agent's power is 3. And then the 3 minus 2 is -1, so Creeping Trailblazer would die. And Creeping Trailblazer deals 2 damage, while Whisper Agent deals 2 as well. I mean, has 2 health, or 2 toughness. I call it health. So Creeping Trailblazer would deal 2 damage to Whisper Agent, bringing it down to 0, which means he would die. Alright, I hope that makes sense. Alright, now on more about casting spells. Whisper Agent's a confusing card. Alright, we'll take Simic Signet. Alright, this is an artifact, but we'll ignore that. Artifacts come later. In the top right-hand corner, you will see just a 2, but nothing else. That means you can pay 2 of any mana to cast this card. So it can be a forest and a mountain, or a swamp and a island. Alright, so it can be anything. That's the point. As long as you pay, in any combination, 2 mana to tap it, this guy will go onto your battlefield. Well, this artifact. Alright? So yeah, I hope that's not too confusing. Alright. So we've gone over how to cast a spell, how to attack and block, and all that. So you two are out. You aren't, actually. Alright. Now, moving on, I'm probably going to go over the different types of cards. The different types of cards are creatures. By the way, these are spells that you cast. Creatures, artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers, instants, and sorceries. Alright? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright? I have all 6 here. And I will go through each one and tell you what they do. Instants, you can cast at any point, including another player's attack phase or main phase. Another player's turn, alright? If you attack someone if you cast this spell during another player's turn, that would be allowed because it's an instant. It can be cast at instant speed. Something that I didn't mention is that Commander, every other format this doesn't apply to, but Commander can have as many people as you want into it, while as Standard and all the other formats can only have 2 people. So Commander is one of the rare forms of the game that you can have more than 2 people. So you can do whatever you want to. If you want to attack this person, then you can. This card, which is just, you pay 2 blue, and it's just a counter spell, and it's an instant, meaning if they were playing a creature, and you were like, that creature's too big, then you can pay 2 blue to play this guy, and it would counter that card. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So that's instants. And then planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are pretty much like creatures. I chose a bad planeswalker. Because its name, I'm going to try to pronounce this. Ashok Dreamrender. It's 1, and then you see the blue sliced in half, black, blue sliced in half, black. There's 2 of them. Which means you can pay a blue or a black. It doesn't matter which, but you can play either or. So you have to pay 1 of any color, and then you have to pay a blue or black, and then a blue or a black. And you can cast this card. Make sense? I hope so. And then this Planeswalker enters with a loyalty counter of 5, as you can probably see, but I will show you it again. Alright, it's right here, right above my finger. Loyalty counter of 5. And then as a main ability, which says, spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause their controller to search their library. I'm not going to go into that because that's a bit confusing. This next card is this next part is a -1. You can only use Planeswalker abilities once a turn. -1, target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, then exile each opponent's graveyard. Ignore that. You'll probably learn about that later, and I will explain it later as we get deeper and deeper into this podcast. Well, not this episode, but podcasts in general. And then we have an enchantment. Enchantments, by the way, legendary planeswalkers can be attacked just like your life total. When you attack someone, let's say with Whisper Agent, if you attack, let's say, this Planeswalker on the other battlefield, and he gets through, and he deals 3 damage. Normally, you would be dealt 3 damage if you controlled the Planeswalker, but if the Planeswalker was at 5 loyalty, it would lose 3 of its loyalty, going down to 2. Okay, that's just helpful because some Planeswalkers have minus like 7 or 8, and they have like game-ending spells or whatever. So yeah, just wanted to say that. And then instants can be cast at instant speed. Next card is Sorcery. Sorcery can be cast at any time during your turn. It has to be your turn, all right? Your turn, all right? Anytime. I think except attack, but I could be wrong with that. This card is just a 2 green cultivate spell. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards and put them onto the battlefield. Tapped, then shuffle. And then shuffle the other. And then shuffle. Hold up, sorry. I'm going to read that card again. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards and put one onto the battlefield. Tapped and shuffle. And then the other into your hand. Then shuffle your library. So you search your library for 2 basic land cards. Put one onto the battlefield tapped. And then put the other one into your hand. This is just a quick way to get more lands, because the lands are what you need to cast spells. There goes the heater again. So yeah, just a really simple, easy cultivate spell that you can play to get lands. So yeah, next one is an enchantment. Enchantments stay on the battlefield unless your opponent or you plays a spell that says destroy target enchantment, then they can choose the spell and you can destroy it. This card is just 2 in the green. Retreat to Kazum. Landfall whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. Choose 1. You either put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, which means they get up 1 power and up 1 toughness, or you gain 2 life. Either one, you choose 1. So yeah, there it is. So you can read it. If you want to, pause the podcast and read it. All right. Happy you read it. I hope you did. Next card is Simic Signet. I already read it to you, but I will show you it again. It's just pay 1, tap this to add a green and a blue, and it's just an easy way to get 2 mana. And artifacts, this is an artifact. It stays on the battlefield the whole time, just like enchantments. All right, I hope you read it. So yeah, that's artifacts and enchantments. Just thought you'd know that. All right. Our next guy is a creature. I brought out this guy because in Commander, when you play it, I will go into everything. Actually, no, I'm not even going to talk about it now. All right, now we have this land, which these are non-basic lands, text lands, as you may call them, and they are lands that they have text on them. And you can pause it right now to read it. I will read it as soon as I stop showing it to you guys. All right. It says Coral Atoll enters the battlefield tapped. When Coral Atoll enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you return an untapped island you control to its owner's hands. So you have to take an island, say this one that's not here. You would take it and put it into your hands. All right. And then sacrifice means you would put it into your graveyard. Let's hope you don't sacrifice. And there are also these other cards, typically double-sided. All other cards that are not double-sided. All right? However, this guy, since I put him in a case, he's not double-sided, but he looks pretty cool. All right. Now, this guy is a double-sided token. These are tokens that just do as they say. They're a 4/4 and a 3/3. The ones that you're looking at right now is a 4/4. This one's a 3/3. So yeah. You will most likely learn about all that later in the podcast, assuming you stick around. I hope you do. All right. That was all that had to do with my rules. However, we do have the rules of Magic the Gathering. So yeah, let me just look through these. Doesn't matter. Yep, tapping and untapping. Just want you to know that if a symbol has like a weird curved gradient arrow, it means to tap this permanent. And a permanent is anything that's on the battlefield and that will stay on the battlefield. So all your creatures, enchantments, and artifacts are permanents. And then casting spells. Yep. Something I didn't say that this says. So if I were casting, the Ahsoka Dreamrender, and it's a 1 blue black hybrid blue black, then I would have to pay then I would tap 1 basic land of any type to pay for the 1, and a blue or black twice for the 2 others. Yeah. And then attacking and blocking, it's the most common way to win a game, unless you have a card that says deal 3 damage to any ability. And then it just explains the attacking phase, which is like what I just said. And it goes on to advanced topics. The stack is something that is very, very, very most likely used in your Commander games. So I wanted to speak about how it works, and then targeting, I guess. The stack is a game zone shared by all players, like the battlefield, and it's where spells and abilities wait to be resolved. So let's say, I'm going to do an example real quick. Where was my counterspell? Alright, there's my counterspell. Alright? So, let's say your opponent cast Shikio Dreamrender. I cannot pronounce, by the way. Alright, let's say he or she cast this card. Alright, you see it? Alright, good. Let's say they cast that spell. Alright? But you were like, I don't want that card to be cast at all. So you could tap a blue and a blue to pay for counterspell. Alright? And then counterspell would go in the stack. The stack works like this. So this is a Shikio or a Sokio or whatever. Dreamrender. I'm assuming it's a he. He would go on the stack first, and then this counterspell would go. Okay? And then let's say there was like, oh no, I don't like that idea, and then someone else played another counterspell. So it's now counterspell, a Shikio. And the counterspells would cancel, and the Shikio would be cast. But let's say instead, I have a card that says, like, let's say someone was attacking you and says, I'm going to deal 3 damage to you, alright? They attacked you for 3 damage with the Whisper Agent, alright? You could say, alright, I'll play Burn, and it would deal 3 damage, alright? The way that would work is the attack phase also goes on the stack. So, attack, burn spell kills Whisper Agent can't attack, alright? That's how the stack works, alright? So, I'm going to do this example again. If a Shikio was cast, counterspell, and then let's say counterspell again, counterspell, alright? That's 3 counterspells. 2 of them cancel out, 1 of them actually kills a Shikio. Alright, so that's how the stack works. The stack is very important to Commander games. And yeah. And that's using the stack is called responses. So if you cast a Shikio and you played counterspell, that's in response to someone casting a Shikio. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Alright. So like in this example, let's say your opponent cast a shock on your Whisper Agent, alright? Which is a 3/2. The shock goes onto the stack, and you respond to shock by casting Titanic Growth. And Titanic Growth is a target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. And so it would go Whisper Agent, shock, and then Titanic Growth, alright? And then you and your opponents both decline to do anything else. Then the Titanic Growth would resolve first, since it was cast last. And it would make the 2/2 a 5/5. I mean a 6/6, and then it would deal 2 damage, which would be not enough damage to destroy it. All right. So yeah, it's how that would work. I just wanted to explain that because that might have been confusing to some people. So yeah, that is how the stack works. If you want me to go into a whole episode about the stack, I would. Just tell me in the comments below. All right. That's where I will know. And then commander. All right. No, I have an much easier way. Color identity. Ooh, color identity is very important. All right. The format is played for as many as 5 to 6 players or as little as 3. All right. But it can be also to 1v1. But it would work better with multiple people. So the deck sizes are 99 cards. If you want an example of a deck size, this is the deck size for Asia, Tyrant of Gyre Strait. This is 99 cards. Right here, 99 cards. This is the one other card making it a 100 card deck. This is your commander card. Your deck is typically built around your commander because your commander is typically the card that you always have access to. Your commander goes into command zone, which can be to the sides of your deck or the top. I typically put it above because it makes it easier, and never put it below because that's your graveyard. All right, and you always have access to your commander. The only rule is commander tax, which is if your commander is on the battlefield, you cast him for the first time, he's on the battlefield, and someone decides to kill it. All right, like let's say you attack. No, your opponent attacks you, and you block with Asia. Asia somehow dies. Asia would go to the... You can choose, instead of putting it in the graveyard, to put it in the command zone. It doesn't have to go in the command zone. It can go to... So let's say someone cast board wipe. All cards go to graveyard. Asia, you could choose to put in your command zone or your graveyard, depending on what you want to work. And then you can have, like let's say, Path to Exile, all right? On Asia, and you could say okay, and then you could put it in your command zone instead. It doesn't matter what it says. If it gets removed from the battlefield for any reason, you can choose to put it into your command zone. The only rule is that after that happens, you can, to cast your commander again, you have to pay an additional 2 mana of any color. So like 2 colors, all right? Because that's how that works, just to keep things fair. So it's not, oh, yippee, I can just keep casting my 0 mana commander over and over and over again. No, you have to pay. And then color identity, some cards say add 1 mana, like it's a land, tap it, add 1 mana of any color that is in your color identity, commander's color identity, which means it has to, for Asia, is either green or blue. By the way, you can read Asia. I'm not going to read him, but you can read it. So, yeah. All right, there's Asia. All right. Asia's a pretty cool card. And by the way, when you build a deck, if you get into deck building, I have not. I've tried once, and I will not try again. But if you want to build a deck around Asia, you would have to use the 2 colors, green and blue, and then, of course, colorless, all right? Because you can't use any other colors, all right? Because you can't put a red spell because you won't put any red mana in your deck, all right? But, yeah, that's what color identity is. And then the command zone, this is where your commander rests if it's not in play. And then commander damage, when you attack with your commander, let's say you attack, let's say John over here and Jimmy here. You're playing with John and Jimmy. Let's say you attack Jimmy for 5 damage, and then, that was Jimmy, right? Yeah, Jimmy for 5 and John for 5 as well. That's 5 damage, okay? But something important is, if you deal 21 or more combat damage to an opponent through your commander, that player automatically loses the game. No ifs, ands, what's about it. unless they find a destroy target creature. All right. Other than that, dead. That's how it works. However, if they have a copy spell, if let's say Jimmy has a copy spell and he casts I forget what's called, but it's a card that copies. All right, that's the point. And they get a copy of your commander and they attack Jimmy or John or whatever his name is. The damage is not added on to the damage that you already dealt with your commander. However, if someone has a card that says take control of your commander, then that opponent would get your commander, and then the damage would still be counted onto the damage that you already dealt them. All right, it has to be that card though. Okay, it can't be a copy or something. And of course, commander is a free for all multiplayer game. However, in the next episode, no, it's not the end. The next episode, I will be talking about politics and decisions like that. Ooh, yeah. Spicy and politics. I will explain all in the next episode, which are ways to get around of someone attacking you. All right. Enough with this card. Why would you play this format? You might be asking. Zach, why would I play this format? Why not play standard? It's so much simpler. Well, I will tell you. It's multiplayer. You can play it with, let's say, Jimmy, John, and Bob, all right? Jimmy, John, and Bob. Your three buds can play together. Or Jimmy, John, Bob, and Ryan over there in the corner looking sad. He's like, I won't get any of the fun. I can't play. You'd be like, hey, come on, pull up a chair, play. And he'd be like, oh, yay. All right, so there are lots of, you can play with up to 5. I've seen it. I recommend if you go up to, groups of 6, split it into 3 and 3, all right? But groups of 5 are okay. 3, of course, is fine. 4 is fine. 5 is fine, all right? So, yeah, it's great to play. And the best thing, in my opinion, about this format is that if you have a dusty box, if you let's say you were digging through your closet and you found a box that labeled that labeled Magic the Gathering cards 2017. You'd be like, no use in using these anymore. Then you found this podcast because you like Magic the Gathering and you started watching it. You're like, what's Commander? And then you find this part. The cards don't rotate, which means there's a rotation for cards. Every 2 years, the cards that they get bumped. So like they're out of the format. So for standard, everything but Commander, they get bumped. So if you have a card, so let's say Asia, for example. Asia is a great example, actually. Asia is just about to be bumped. Asia is a 2020 card. It says at the bottom, very, very bottom, right-hand corner, right under its toughness and power. All right, it's right underneath my 2 fingers. You see it? Hope you do. And it says 2020 Wizards of the Coast. That means when it hits 2023, all cards that say 2022 at the bottom of them get bumped out, no matter what, except for Commander. That's the only exception. All cards, it doesn't matter if you have a card from 2015. Odds are it's probably eligible, all right, to play. By the way, I will be be doing another episode on the ban list also, because the ban list is important and there's certain cards, and every time a card gets banned, you will hear it from this podcast, right? I will try to make it as fast as I can, probably within the day that it's said that it's been banned, and I will shove it out to you guys so you guys can know what's banned, all right? Just wanted to know that. So yeah, cards don't rotate. That's really, really important. However, another thing that's important is that if you are across from Jimmy and John is across from Bob and then Ryan's over there at the head of the table, I don't just have to attack Jimmy. I can also attack John, Bob, or Ryan, all right? It doesn't matter because it's free for all. anyone can be attacked, right? If Ryan's over there being like, well, Noah's across from me, who do I attack? He can attack any of us four. It doesn't matter what your position at the table, you can attack anyone. Anyone. All right? Another thing that I forgot to mention. If your life total starts at 40, all right? So, excuse me. Okay, it's right there. Good. If your life total starts at 40, so if you're playing a game of Commander and you're like, wow, this is gonna be a seriously quick game. Your life total starts at 40, so it won't be that much. It will be quite long. I've seen games go up to 2 hours sometimes. So yeah. I'm reading through this to see if I can read it. Oh, I forgot something. If your commander would be put into your graveyard or exile, it goes there as normal. The next time state-based actions are performed, if your commander is still in that zone, you may choose to put it in the command zone. In other words, if state-based actions mean spells or lands and stuff like that. And if your commander deals 21 or more combat damage to one player throughout the game, that player loses. Alright, I didn't forget anything. I think I would have. Alright, good job, me. Alright. I really hope you like this podcast. And yeah, if you have any questions for me, please do not hesitate to ask down below in the show more box below this video. You can find it. If you click on it, you can find links to three things. 3 important things, I should say. First, wait for the heater to stop. Whenever you're done. Thank you. Maybe I'll unplug that next time. Alright, 3 important things. First one is that my link to Magic Zone is down there, which you probably know unless you, for some reason, find this episode and your friend gave it to you. But it's down there, alright? Second, my Discord server is down there. If you want to talk about Magic the Gathering with me, don't hesitate to ask. Go down there, click the link to my Discord server, open up Discord, and start chatting away with me. Third thing, most important thing, is my email. If you want to email me, just click on that below or copy it or whatever and email it. If you want it to be in a video, type in it Q&A video, all right? The subject, make it Q and A video, all right? If you do that, I will most likely feature it in a video, save it to a folder in my inbox, and then when we do one, I will post it. I will put it in my video. If you do not want your name to be announced in the video, make sure you say that. Like if you say below, please do not say my name in the video, then I'll say from anonymous or something. Or you can make up a random name, like say from tiger or from elephant, or I don't know why I'm saying elephant stuff or whatever. I'm sorry, guys. All right. So yeah, next episode will in fact be a video about politics, and then the video after that, I think we'll just jump straight into card reviews, and we'll start talking all about how great the new set that just came out, Infinity, looks. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying your day so far, and I hope you have a lovely day after hearing this podcast. Please subscribe.